Chemicals have various different properties, and to recreate these complex mixtures is quite a challenge.
Available information about endocrine-disrupting chemicals either focuses on one single chemical or uses very simplified models with also simplified health outcomes that sometimes have little physiological relevance. The information available about single endocrine-disrupting chemicals also ignores the existence of other chemicals in our body and also the existence of other stressors that interfere with the final effect. Another problem of the existing methods or test systems is that it simplifies the effects of endocrine-disrupting chemicals and doesn't consider, for example, age of the population or biological sex of the population. So this one-fits-all theory that is in place right now is not really reflecting the complexity of the topic. We need to understand how chemicals in combination with other stressors are affecting our health. And for that, it is important to understand where are they accumulating in the body. We need to put models that consider barrier systems like the blood-brain barrier or the lung or the placentas. We need to understand how this chemical interacts with the different organs in the human body. We need to understand how chemicals target the immune system and in particular immune cells circulating through the body and interacting with other organs.
The chemical mixtures for the ENDOMIX project will be selected based on two things. The first part is the prioritization that we do in Sidico for different varieties of chemicals, where we have data, but we also used a baseline toxicity concept to fill in data gaps to give us an idea of what chemicals could be relevant, and those prioritized mixtures will then be linked to the chemicals that have analytically been targeted or identified in the cohorts, and both together will then be representing the mixtures we will analyze in the project.
In ENDOMIX, we have the advantage of having on board a number of existing cohorts and covering various stages of life, from pregnancy to childhood, but also adolescent and adulthood.
We aim to identify associations between chemical exposure and health outcomes. We want to understand the impact of chemicals in organs, and we also want to keep in mind that the exposure at vulnerable periods of time is very important, likewise in pregnancy, and this may affect health endpoints later on in life. This is the reason why in ENDOMIX we have put together a strategy that combines population studies, analyzing the exposure to chemicals and the impact in health, but also in vitro and some in vivo systems that can test specifically mechanistic pathways and also important health endpoints.
What we see nowadays within the European Union is that many citizens are very concerned about these chemicals, not only regarding the effects of these chemicals on your health, but also regarding the fate of these chemicals in the environment. And that basically means that the work that we do is really important. But it also means that it's really important to send a message across, basically the conclusion of the scientific research that we do, towards policymakers so that they can make informed and correct decisions on what good policies would be regarding those issues.
We also hope mid-term to support some changes in chemical regulation that are aimed to protect the European population.